My friend, do you feel it? The silent paralysis of waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives? The gnawing fear of acting without the world's approval? Or perhaps the most tragic delusion of all, the mistaken belief that life's grand opportunities are a matter of luck, handed out to a chosen few. These are the chains that bind giants. They are lies that keep you from your destiny. In this address, I will show you precisely how to shatter these chains and forge your own opportunity. To illustrate this grand principle, let me transport you to a dinner table. A simple meal, yet one that altered the course of American literature forever. The great author Nathaniel Hawthorne was dining with the poet Longfellow. With him, Hawthorne brought a friend from Salem, who recounted a hauntingly beautiful legend from Acadia. It was the story of a young woman, cruelly separated from her beloved during the Great Dispersion, who spent her entire life searching for him, only to find him on his deathbed when they were both old and gray. A tragedy. A masterpiece in waiting, the friend urged Hawthorne, the master of dark romance, to take up the tale. But Hawthorne, for reasons locked within his own genius, hesitated. He demurred. He let the idea sit, a shimmering jewel of a story left untouched upon the table. Think of it, the seed of a classic, offered freely, yet unplanted. How many such seeds lie fallow in the fields of your own mind, my friend, waiting for a permission that will never come? Longfellow, you see, was a man of different metal. He saw not a burden, but a glorious opportunity. He watched his friend, the great Hawthorne, let this gem of a story slip through his fingers, and his mind, the mind of a true creator, began to race. He could not believe that such a powerful legend would be left to gather dust. And so, with the fire of inspiration in his eyes, he turned to Hawthorne and asked a question that would echo through the ages. "If you have really made up your mind not to use it for a story," he inquired, "will you let me have it for a poem?" Can you feel the electricity in that moment? It is the sound of opportunity being seized. It is the click of a key turning in the lock of destiny. Hawthorne consented, even promising not to touch the subject until Longfellow had tried his hand. And with that simple yes, the torch was passed. The moment of hesitation was over, and the moment of creation was about to begin with a thunderous roar. And what did Longfellow do? He did not wait for a muse. He did not tarry for the perfect conditions. He seized that opportunity with the grip of a titan and gave to the world the immortal poem. A masterpiece that has moved generations was born not from an idea that was his own, but from an idea he was willing to claim. This, my friends, is the first law of achievement. Open eyes will discover opportunities everywhere. It is not that chances are rare, but that our eyes are so often closed to them. We walk through a world pregnant with possibility, yet we see only the mundane. We are surrounded by the cries of those perishing for assistance, yet our ears are deafened by our own small worries. Open your heart, and you will never want for worthy causes. Open your hands, and you will never lack for noble work to do. Longfellow's hands were open, and he grasped immortality. Hawthorne's were closed, and he missed a legend. Which will you be? This principle is not confined to the arts. It is a universal law, written into the very fabric of nature and science. Consider the great Archimedes. For centuries, humanity had observed a simple fact. When you place a solid object into a full vessel of water, the water overflows. It was a common annoyance, a trivial observation. Everyone had noticed it, from the child in his bath to the cook in her kitchen. It was knowledge so common as to be utterly useless. But when Archimedes, a man whose mind was prepared, whose eyes were truly open, observed this simple fact, he did not just see a splash, he perceived a divine secret. In that displaced water, he saw a perfect, unerring method for measuring the volume of any object, no matter how irregular its shape. He saw a key to unlock the mysteries of density and matter. The world saw a puddle. Archimedes saw a universal law. The opportunity was there for everyone, but only the prepared mind could grasp it. Or think of the boy, Galileo. In the great cathedral at Pisa, a lamplighter had carelessly left a lamp swinging. The congregation droned on, lost in prayer or slumber. They saw a swinging lamp, a distraction, a flicker of light in their periphery. They had all seen 1,000 things swing before, a pendulum on a clock, a weight on a rope. They knew, as a matter of course, that it would sway back and forth until friction in the air brought it to a halt. A useless bit of common knowledge, but Galileo, a mere boy, did not see a lamp. He saw a rhythm. He saw a pulse. Using the beat of his own heart as a timer, he noted the magnificent regularity of those oscillations. In that mindless swinging, his prepared mind discerned the profound and useful principle of the pendulum, a principle that would revolutionize timekeeping in science. The opportunity was not in some grand celestial event. It was in a forgotten swinging lamp in a dusty cathedral. He found a universe in a flicker of light. And did circumstance defeat him? Did walls and iron bars snuff out this flame of inquiry? Never. Later in life, when the forces of ignorance cast him into a prison cell, did he despair? Did he curse his fate? No. 1,000 times no. Even the iron doors of a prison were not enough to shut out his relentless search for truth. He was stripped of his tools, his books, his telescope. What did he have left? The straw on his cell floor. While lesser men would have seen only bedding for misery, Galileo saw a laboratory. He began to experiment with that simple straw. He bent it, he broke it, he studied its structure. And from the humble straw of his prison cell, he learned invaluable lessons about the relative strength of tubes and rods of equal diameters. He was building the foundations of engineering with the refuse of his own confinement. This, my friends, is a mind that cannot be imprisoned. It is a will that turns every obstacle into a stepping stone, every disadvantage into an opportunity for discovery. Let us turn our gaze to the heavens with the great astronomer Laplace. For ages, those who studied the stars had been familiar with the majestic rings of Saturn. They were beautiful, yes, they were magnificent. But they were seen as little more than a cosmic curiosity, a strange and lovely exception to the supposed laws of how planets were formed. They were an anomaly, a puzzle to be noted and then set aside. But where others saw an exception, Laplace saw the rule. He looked at those rings of ice and dust and debris, and he did not see a celestial oddity. He saw the sole remaining visible evidence of the invariable process of creation itself. He understood that these were not an exception, but a snapshot of a stage that every planet, including our own, had once passed through. From the mute testimony of those swirling rings, he deciphered a new and valuable chapter in the scientific history of creation. The evidence was there for all to see, but only Laplace had the vision to read its true meaning. Now, let us come down from the heavens and stand upon the shores of the sea. For centuries, there was not a sailor in all of Europe who had not stood upon the cliffs of Portugal or Spain, looked out upon the vast, terrifying expanse of the Western Ocean, and wondered, what lies beyond? Monsters? The edge of the world? An endless sea? The question hung in the very air, a challenge whispered on the salt spray. The opportunity for discovery was the great unanswered question of the age, but wondering is not doing, speculation is not action. It remained for one man, a man of ferocious conviction and unshakable will, Christopher Columbus, to do what others only dreamed of. He did not just wonder, he acted. He steered his ships boldly out into that unknown sea, against the wisdom of his time, against the fears of his crew, against the very terror of the void. And by that single act of supreme courage, he shattered the old maps and discovered a new world. The opportunity belonged to the man who dared to sail off the edge of the known. And what of Newton, my friends? For centuries, nay, for millennia, innumerable apples had tumbled from their branches. They had struck the heads of philosophers and farmers alike, a soft thud of cosmic indifference, a simple, seasonal annoyance. The fall of an apple was the most common, the most unremarkable event imaginable, as if nature itself were trying to hit heedless men on the head to set them thinking. But they did not think. They rubbed their heads and moved on, until Newton. When the apple fell for him, he did not just see a piece of fruit. He asked the titanic question, why? Why does it fall down and not up or sideways? And in pursuing that question, he came to the staggering realization that the very same force that pulls an apple to the earth is the force that holds the moon in its orbit, that holds the planets in their courses, and that prevents the momentum of all the atoms in the universe from hurling them wildly back into primordial chaos. The greatest of physical laws was not hidden in some arcane text. It was revealed in the fall of an apple, waiting for a mind prepared to ask the right question. Now consider a force that all of humanity feared. From the days of Adam, lightning had flashed and thunder had roared. It was the wrath of the gods, the fury of the heavens. It dazzled the eyes and jarred the ears of men, a terrifying display of untamable power. For thousands of years, the discharges of heaven's artillery were seen and heard only with the eye and ear of pure terror. Humanity cowered, prayed, and hid from this celestial rage. The most powerful and all-pervading energy on the planet was right before their eyes, and all they could feel was fear. But then came Benjamin Franklin, a man of practical genius and supreme courage. He did not cower, he did not pray. He flew a kite in a thunderstorm. With a simple key and a string, he performed an experiment so audacious it borders on madness. And in doing so, he proved that lightning was not the anger of God, but a manifestation of a resistless yet controllable force, as abundant as the air we breathe and the water we drink. He tamed the thunderbolt. What is the lesson in all of this? What connects the poet, the physicist, the astronomer, the explorer, and sign? These men, Longfellow, Archimedes, Galileo, Newton, Franklin, are considered great, not because they were given some special princely chance unavailable to others. No. They are held up as titans of history for one simple reason. They improved opportunities that were common to the whole human race. The story was there for Hawthorne. The overflowing water was there for everyone. The swinging lamp, the falling apple, the flash of lightning, these were experiences shared by millions. The difference was not the opportunity. The difference was the individual. The greatness was in the seeing, in the questioning, in the daring. It is the moral told thousands of years ago by the wise King Solomon. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. This is not mere poetry. It is a law of life. It is the formula for greatness, as true today as it was in the courts of antiquity. And was this proverb not perfectly beautifully illustrated in the life of Franklin himself? Here was a man born into obscurity, the son of a candlemaker. He was not granted power or position by birthright. He was the epitome of the diligent man, the industrious soul who wasted not a moment. He was a printer, a writer, a scientist, an inventor, a statesman. And did he stand before kings? My friends, he stood before 5 kings. And he dined with 2. Imagine it. The boy from Boston who tamed the lightning sitting as an equal at the tables of European royalty. Why? Because he made himself indispensable through sheer, relentless industry and the courage to seize every opportunity for knowledge and service. He who improves an opportunity sows a seed, and that seed will yield a mighty harvest of fruit, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. Every single person who has labored honestly in the past has aided in placing knowledge and comfort within the reach of an ever-increasing number. Your effort is never just for you. But perhaps you listen to these stories of old and say, Dr. Marden, that was a different time. The world is full now. The positions are all filled, the chances all gone. I say to you, that is the most dangerous lie a soul can tell itself. The truth is the exact opposite. Avenues greater in number, wider in extent, and easier of access than ever before existed, stand open to you right now. To the sober, the frugal, the energetic mechanic. To the educated youth with a mind ablaze with new knowledge. To the office boy and the clerk with ambition in their hearts. The opportunities for success today dwarf anything the world has ever known. A little while ago, a young man could choose between 3 or 4 professions: the law, medicine, the clergy. Today, there are 50, 100, and of trades, where there was 1, there are now 1,000-fold more. It is expanding with explosive force. The question is not whether opportunity exists, but whether you have the eyes to see it and the will to claim it. There is a famous story of a visitor in a sculptor's studio. Among the many statues of the gods, the visitor noticed one that was most peculiar. Its face was concealed by a thick veil of hair, and strangest of all, it had wings on its feet. What is its name? The visitor asked the artist. Its name is Opportunity, replied the sculptor. "And why," asked the visitor, "is its face hidden so?" The sculptor's answer should be carved into the mind of every living soul. "Because," he said, "men seldom know him when he comes to them." The visitor, intrigued, pressed further. "And why does he have wings on his feet?" The sculptor's final reply is a solemn warning for us all. Because he is soon gone, and once gone, cannot be overtaken. Do you understand the profound wisdom in this? Opportunity arrives disguised, veiled, often looking like hard work or a difficult problem. It does not announce itself with trumpets, and it does not wait. It is a fleeting moment, a flash of lightning that you must be ready to catch. The ancient Romans, those masters of empire in action, understood this law perfectly. A Latin author gives us an even more forceful image. He says, "Opportunity has hair in front, behind she is bald." Think of that picture. A figure rushing towards you, a great forelock of hair you can grab. But if you hesitate, if you let it pass you by, it presents only a smooth, bald head that your desperate fingers cannot grasp. If you seize her by the forelock, the author continues, you may hold her, but if suffered to escape, not Jupiter himself can catch her again. Not even the king of the gods can reclaim a lost opportunity. This is not a suggestion, my friends. It is a spiritual and practical imperative. You must live in a state of constant readiness. You must be on the balls of your feet, not back on your heels. You must anticipate the arrival, recognize the disguise, and have the courage to lunge for that forelock the moment it comes within your reach. Hesitate for a second, and it is gone forever into the mists of regret. But let me ask you a question that cuts to the very heart of the matter. All this talk of seeing and seizing is meaningless without one crucial element. What is the best opportunity in the world to a man who cannot or will not use it? What good is a key to a man who refuses to turn it in the lock? What good is a map to a man who refuses to take the first step on the journey? An opportunity is not some external magical gift. It is a combination of outward circumstance and inward power. Without the inward power, the skill, the courage, the will, the readiness to act, the greatest opportunity that ever existed is nothing more than a passing cloud. It is a tragic spectacle I see every day. Men and women standing before a wide open door to success, paralyzed by doubt, by laziness, by indecision. They pray for a chance, and when it is given, they treat it as an inconvenience. The world is full of such people, who are surrounded by acres of diamonds yet complain that they are poor. Let me tell you a story of the sea, a true and terrible account that demonstrates this truth with chilling finality. A shipmaster recounted this tale of the ill-fated steamer, the Central America. "It was my lot," he said, "to fall in with her. The night was closing in, the sea was rolling high, but I hailed the crippled steamer and asked if they needed help. The reply came back across the churning waves, from her captain Herndon. 'I am in a sinking condition, a direct admission of crisis.' The rescuing captain, seeing the immediate danger, yelled back, 'Had you not better send your passengers on board directly? Here it is, my friends, the forelock of opportunity, the clear, direct chance to save hundreds of lives.' The moment of decision had arrived. The lifeline was thrown. All Captain Herndon had to do was grasp it, to give the order, to act with the urgency the moment demanded. The choice between life and death was presented in a single stark question across a stormy sea. And what was Captain Herndon's reply? In the face of certain doom, with salvation at hand, what was his command? Did he shout, 'Yes, at once, prepare the boats'? No, he hesitated. He temporized. He clung to a foolish, baseless hope. He shouted back, 'Will you not lay by me until morning?' The rescuer, astonished but willing, replied, 'I will try, but had you not better send your passengers on board now?' He offered the chance again. He begged him to seize the moment. But again, from the deck of the dying ship came the same fatal reply, 'Lay by me till morning.' Oh, the tragedy of those words, the delusion that tomorrow will be a better time to solve today's crisis. He let the moment pass. The rescuing shipmaster tried to stay near, but the sea was too heavy, the night too dark. He lost his position, and he never saw the steamer again. The opportunity, once gone, could not be reclaimed by all the navies of the world. The door had slammed shut. The dreadful conclusion to this story must be told. In an hour and a half, just 90 minutes after Captain Herndon uttered those fateful words, "Lay by me till morning," his vessel, with its living, breathing freight of hundreds of souls, plunged beneath the waves. The captain, the crew, and most of the passengers found a cold, dark grave in the deep. Captain Herndon surely appreciated the value of the opportunity he had neglected when the icy water was closing over his head. But of what avail was the bitterness of his self-reproach then? How many lives were sacrificed to his unintelligent hopefulness and his criminal indecision? Like him, the feeble, the sluggish, the purposeless, the people who are always waiting for morning, see no meaning in the happiest occasions. They fail to act until it is too late, and then they learn the eternally sad lesson that the mill can never, ever grind with the water that has already passed. The past is a tomb, not a resource. This affliction, this habit of being a little behindhand, is not confined to grand tragedies at sea. It is a poison that seeps into the everyday lives of millions. Such people are always a little too late or a little too early for everything they attempt. The great orator John B. Goff said of them, with biting wit, "They have 3 hands apiece, a right hand, a left hand, and a little behindhand." Does this not describe someone you know? Perhaps it even describes a part of yourself you wish to conquer. As boys, they were late for school. As girls, they were unpunctual in their duties. That is how the habit is acquired, in the small, seemingly insignificant delays of youth. And now, when real responsibility claims them in adulthood, the pattern is set. They are forever saying, "If only I had gone yesterday, I would have gotten the job," or "I can probably get one tomorrow." They live in the fantasy land of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's empty promises. They cannot, for the life of them, see and seize the opportunity that lies in the eternal now. Let me give you one more story, a tragedy not of the sea, but of the rails. Joe Stoker was a rear brakeman, an exceedingly popular fellow, liked by passengers and crew alike for his easy smile and good nature. But he did not feel the crushing weight of his responsibility. He took the world easy. And worse, he occasionally tippled from a flat bottle. If a friend remonstrated, he would flash that bright smile and say, "Thank you. I'm all right." "Don't you worry," disarming their concern with his charm. One evening, a heavy snowstorm delayed his train. The engine blew out its cylinder head, grinding them to a halt between stations. And on that very same track, an express train was due in minutes. The conductor, his face a mask of anxiety, rushed to the rear car and ordered Joe back with a red light to warn them. "Don't stop a minute, Joe," he said gravely. "The express is due." Here again is the moment, the critical juncture, the clear command upon which dozens of lives depended. And how did Joe, the good-natured, popular fellow, respond to this life-or-death command? Did the gravity of the situation pierce his cheerful fog? No. He laughed. He smiled his easy smile. "All right," he said. But he did not go. He stopped to put on his overcoat. A small delay. Then he took another sip from his flat bottle, just to keep the cold out. Another small delay. Then, finally, he slowly grasped the lantern and, whistling a tune, moved leisurely down the snow-covered track. Seconds, my friends, seconds were ticking away like lifetimes. He had not gone 10 paces from his car when he heard it. The thunderous puffing of the oncoming express. Suddenly, the fog of indulgence cleared from his brain, replaced by sheer terror. He ran, he sprinted for the curve to wave his lantern, but it was too late. The moment had passed. His small delays, his self-indulgence, his failure to grasp the terrifying urgency, had sealed their fate. The opportunity to save them was gone. What followed was a nightmare of shattered steel and shattered lives. In one horrible, deafening minute, the engine of the express telescoped the standing train. The shrieks of the mangled and the dying mingled with the horrifying hissing escape of steam. It was a scene of utter carnage, born from a few moments of selfish delay. And later, when the survivors and rescuers searched for the man whose duty it was to prevent this, when they asked for Joe, he had disappeared. He was found the next day in a nearby barn, his mind shattered, hopelessly delirious. And what was he doing? He was swinging an empty lantern in front of an imaginary train, his voice a broken moan, crying out the 2 words that would be his eternal epitaph. "Oh, that I had!" They took him to an asylum. And to this day, there is no sadder sound in that sad place than the unceasing, heartbreaking moan, "Oh, that I had! Oh, that I had!" from the unfortunate brakemen whose criminal indulgence brought ruin to so many.